Just remember, you can't climb the ladder of success with your hands in your pockets. Strength does not come from winning. Your struggles develop your strengths. When you go through hardships and decide not to surrender, that is strength. The future is green energy, sustainability, renewable energy. For me, life is continuously being hungry. The meaning of life is not simply to exist, to survive, but to move ahead, to go up, to achieve, to conquer. The last 3 or 4 reps is what makes the muscle grow. This area of pain divides the champion from someone else who is not a champion. That's what most people lack, having the guts to go on and just say they'll go through the pain no matter what happens. In our society, the women who break down barriers are those who ignore limits. The resistance that you fight physically in the gym and the resistance that you fight in life can only build a strong character. Help others and give something back. I guarantee you will discover that while public service improves the lives and the world around you, its greatest reward is the enrichment and new meaning it will bring your own life. I saw a woman wearing a sweatshirt with "Guess" on it. I said, "Thyroid problem?" Training gives us an outlet for suppressed energies created by stress and thus tones the spirit, just as exercise conditions the body. Failure is not an option. Everyone has to succeed. I have a private plane, but I fly commercial when I go to environmental conferences. Money doesn't make you happy. I now have $50 million, but I was just as happy when I had $48 million. If it bleeds, we can kill it. When the people become involved in their government, government becomes more accountable, and our society is stronger, more compassionate, and better prepared for the challenges of the future. As long as I live, I will never forget that day, 21 years ago, when I raised my hand and took the oath of citizenship. Do you know how proud I was? I was so proud that I walked around with an American flag around my shoulders all day long. My relationship to power and authority is that I'm all for it. People need somebody to watch over them. 95% of the people in the world need to be told what to do and how to behave. Well, you know, I'm the forever optimist. I went from being the Terminator to being the Governator. If it's hard to remember, it'll be difficult to forget. The success I have achieved in bodybuilding, motion pictures, and business would not have been possible without the generosity of the American people and the freedom here to pursue your dreams. If my life was a movie, no one would believe it. Well, I think that California has had a history of always spending more money than it takes in. I was striving to be the most muscular man, and it got me into the movies. It got me everything that I have. Learned helplessness is the giving up reaction, the quitting response that follows from the belief that whatever you do doesn't matter. If you work hard and play by the rules, this country is truly open to you. You can achieve anything. I told Warren if he mentions prop 13 one more time, he has to do 500 push-ups. Milk is for babies. When you grow up, you have to drink beer. Start wide, expand further, and never look back. The mind is the limit. As long as the mind can envision the fact that you can do something, you can do it. As long as you really believe 100%. Bodybuilding is much like any other sport. To be successful, you must dedicate yourself 100% to your training, diet, and mental approach. What we face may look insurmountable, but I learned something from all those years of training and competing. I learned something from all those sets and reps when I didn't think I could lift another ounce of weight. What I learned is that we are always stronger than we know. Government's first duty and highest obligation is public safety. You know, nothing is more important than education, because nowhere are our stakes higher. Our future depends on the quality of education of our children today. Even with my divorce and with everything, I don't need money. As you know, I'm an immigrant. I came over here as an immigrant, and what gave me the opportunities, what made me to be here today, is the open arms of Americans. I have been received. I have been adopted by America. One of my movies was called True Lies. It's what the Democrats should have called their convention. I welcome and seek your ideas, but do not bring me small ideas. Bring me big ideas to match our future. I'll be back. Always sounded a little girly to me. I don't suffer of anything that I've lost. The writing is important, but the way you say the line and the pause you give it, the facial expression, all of that is very important. It's time to stop thinking of the Republican Party as an exclusive club where your ideological card is checked at the door, and start thinking about how we can attract more solution-based leaders like Nathan Fletcher and Anthony Adams. I made my fair share of mistakes. You can scream at me, call me for a shoot at midnight, keep me waiting for hours, as long as what ends up on the screen is perfect. My own dreams, fortunately, came true. In this great state, I became Mr. Universe. I became a successful businessman. And even though some people say I still speak with a slight accent, I have reached the top of the acting profession. We are a forward-looking people, and we must have a forward-looking government. I am a big believer in education because when I grew up in Austria, I had a great education. I had great teachers. No matter the nationality, no matter the religion, no matter the ethnic background, America brings out the best in people. I'm addicted to exercising, and I have to do something every day. I had this child, and it destroyed my family. I have a love interest in every one of my films, a gun. I knew I was a winner back in the late 60s. I knew I was destined for great things. People will say that kind of thinking is totally immodest. I agree. Modesty is not a word that applies to me in any way. I hope it never will. I think that gay marriage should be between a man and a woman. The worst thing I can be is the same as everybody else. I hate that. It's simple. If it jiggles, it's fat. I'm sure a lot of people out there make mistakes. I would never exchange my life with anybody else's. As president, Reagan worked very well with Democrats to do big things. It is true that he worked to reduce the size of government and cut federal taxes, and he eliminated many regulations. But he also raised taxes when necessary. And now, of course, this is another thing I didn't count on, that now, as the governor of the state of California, I am selling California worldwide. You see that? Selling. I was born in Europe, and I've traveled all over the world. I can tell you that there is no place, no country that is more compassionate, more generous, more accepting, and more welcoming than the United States of America. Maria is the best reason to come home. My friend James Cameron and I made 3 films together: True Lies, The Terminator, and Terminator 2. Of course, that was during his early, low-budget, art house period. Women are the engine driving the growth in California's economy. Women make California's economy unique. There is no place, no country, more compassionate, more generous, more accepting, and more welcoming than the United States of America. Everything I have, my career, my success, my family, I owe to America. People need to be insured, so when you have an accident out there, or when something catastrophic happens to you, that you're covered, and there's not someone else has to pay for you. That is as simple as that. I have inhaled, exhaled everything. I'm not looking for sympathy at all. Political courage is not political suicide. When you campaign and have to participate in so many debates just to win the nomination of your party, you've had a lot of practice. You get to figure out as you go from one debate to another where you made your mistakes. By the time you get to the big debate, you're pretty polished. Teddy Roosevelt is still a hero among environmentalists for his conservationist policies. Gray Davis can run a dirty campaign better than anyone, but he can't run a state. What's fascinating is people in Washington would rather spend time in Hollywood, and people in Hollywood would rather spend time in Washington. I know a lot of athletes and models are written off as just bodies. I never felt used for my body. I speak directly to the people, and I know that the people of California want to have better leadership. They want to have great leadership. They want to have somebody that will represent them. And it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican, young or old. The biggest problem that we have is that California is being run now by special interests. All of the politicians are not anymore making the moves for the people, but for special interests. and we have to stop that. People should make up their own mind about what they think of me. I can promise you that when I go to Sacramento, I will pump up Sacramento. I didn't leave bodybuilding until I felt that I had gone as far as I could go. It will be the same with my film career. When I feel the time is right, I will then consider public service. I feel that the highest honor comes from serving people and your country. I feel good because I believe I have made progress in rebuilding the people's trust in their government. I believe with all my heart that America remains the great idea that inspires the world. It is a privilege to be born here. It is an honor to become a citizen here. It is a gift to raise your family here, to vote here, and to live here. In this country, it doesn't make any difference where you were born. It doesn't make any difference who your parents were. It doesn't make any difference if, like me, you couldn't even speak English until you were in your 20s. For 20 years, Simon & Schuster asked me, "Why don't you write your autobiography?" I think that people are interested seeing me on the screen. I am the most helpful and open up doors for everyone, and I like to share. To restore the trust of the people, we must reform the way the government operates. Politically, there were failures, and also on the personal level, there were tremendous failures. I have plenty of money, unlike other Hollywood celebrities or athletes that have not invested well. I think Americans are very patriotic. Freedom is a right ultimately defended by the sacrifice of America's servicemen and women. I came to Hollywood, and within a decade, I was one of the biggest action stars of all time.